So for those of you who drive for Uber Eats, you are all too familiar with this screen. This is a payout screen on the Uber Eats app. It says your earnings are $18. The estimate for this trip was $11, including an upfront tip. And the customer tipped even more after delivery. Nice. Except they didn't. That was a hidden tip.
It's back. Dun, dun, dun.
It's back. So we shook this for a while. Uber Eats was showing, depending on the market, the entire payout or most of the payout. And now we're back to this.
See, I feel like in my market, it fluctuates. Like there's sometimes they show full transparency, and then there's other times that they're like, nope, it's going to be a hidden tip today. Like it's not a steady, I'm going to show full transparency, or it's a steady, I'm going to show a hidden tip. It's very, at least in my market, all over the place, and it could be by order, and it could even be by day.
Yeah, so I'm seeing something different here. They're just hiding anything above $11 again. And we enjoyed 3 or 4 months of tip transparency, basically. I think I saw one order in 3 months that had a hidden tip on it. And now they're back to this garbage. Mm-hmm. So we had talked about this a little bit earlier, but I want to kind of analyze how hidden tips affect drivers, but also how they negatively impact customers. So like I was talking about, my market is 22 miles roughly from end to end. And there's customers who live kind of out in the sticks who know that they live out in the sticks. And so they want to ensure that the driver's adequately compensated for their time. But that person may have tipped $20, but guess what? That order is going to show me $11, and I'm damn sure not about to drive an hour for $11. I'm not going to take that risk. So now that customer gets screwed. Yeah. Go ahead. Sounds like you had something to say.
No, I guess I feel like with Uber Eats, I came on Uber Eats and probably 3 or 4 years ago that they only showed base pay when I first started. They'd actually never really showed the tip until an hour after. And that's when you actually showed, like, you knew exactly what you were getting. So I guess I come from, well, this is like the most they've ever given us. So like when hidden tips actually came, it was like, oh, okay, well, the payout's good to begin with because it's $11, $10, and, so on and so forth. So I never really, it never really bothered me as much as Doordash did, if that makes any sense, because they were hiding it over a certain threshold. Does it make it right? No, not whatsoever. But it didn't affect me as much as Doordash did.
Well,
but
it did affect you.
How did it affect me?
Well, because you're out there doing the work, right? You could have potentially missed thousands of dollars over the years. Like what you're talking about right there is exactly why I didn't drive for Postmates, because they didn't show any upfront tip information. And I'm damn sure not going to do the work to get screwed later.
I don't know. I guess, like I said, it just never really bothered me, because when I got a hidden tip with Uber Eats, it was like I was getting a $10 tip. I was getting a $20 tip. I sometimes got a $30 tip versus like DoorDash, they hide like 25 cents. And you're like, why are you hiding 25 cents? That's absolutely ridiculous. So sometimes for me, like the pay didn't really make a difference to me on Uber Eats, just because their payouts at the time that Uber Eats was good in my market was 10 times better than DoorDash was.
So I get what you're saying, but I've also seen hidden tips. I've seen Uber hide. I think I had an order once where Uber hid 1 cent for me. Like 1 cent. It happens. But I mean, I disagree with you. It definitely does affect the driver. And in the long run, it really affects the driver, but absolutely it affects the customers, because they end up waiting, and then the driver who inevitably ends up accepting it because it got doubled, or some new driver who's willing to spend an hour and a half driving for $11 is like, oh yeah, I guess I have to do this, so I'm gonna go take my happy ass, go pick up this cold ass order and get a shitty rating. So it affects everybody. It's not just. And then on top of that, matter of fact, the companies end up refunding those orders because they just didn't give the drivers the transparency in the first place.
Yeah, I definitely think though that the customer who thinks that, hey, I'm going to give this driver out of the kindness of my heart $25, and you know what, I'm going to get my food hot and warm because I just tipped my driver a really great tip. At least in their head, I'm tipping it. But then the driver only sees, okay, well, it's $12, it's going 5 miles. Do I do it? Do I not do it? But if they actually showed that the order was going to be, I'm making this up, $27, the customer would have gotten the benefit of tipping the way that they were supposed to and getting the service that they actually were trying to request by giving a higher paying tip. So that's where transparency really comes in. It works both ends with drivers and customers.
Can I weigh in here before I have
Please.
to go?
Yeah.
Because I want to produce a solution and then I want to leave, and I want to leave on that note. I want to leave on the note of like, dude, check this out. And I want you all to think about it, because I've actually broke this down in my head. What would be so wrong with a platform that charged restaurant prices, that charged a processing fee and a service fee that between the two kept the companies profitable, kept the servers running? We know that they don't have FF&E and assets and things like that, so there's not a lot of that kind of issue. But then on the last page, when you get to your order is complete for food delivery, okay, your order is complete. It's this much with the service, with the processing, and here's the food, and here's how much it costs. Now, do you want it in 40 to 60 minutes? Push here, you'll pay your driver $8. You want it in 30 to 40, push here, it'll be 12. You want it in 20 to 30 minutes, push here, it'll be 15.
That would actually not be a bad idea.
My concern with that, though, is the tips would completely evaporate. So we'd still run into the issue of...
Well, that's why you inflate the number. Because like me, look, most of the... I don't think any of us order food enough that do these apps. But once in a while, when I was in Vegas, I did it a couple times. They actually did have one way to upcharge. But I think if you had multi-tiers and said your driver is paid according... to how fast it almost is allowing the customer to have a cheap way if they can wait. And it's also saying, hey, if you're really hungry and you want to pay the driver more, we can get that out too.
Thank you for checking out a clip of Money Hungry hosted by Zach from Zach Drives Fast and myself, Kim, from Kim's Side Money Plans. Join us every Wednesday live at 8 p.m. Eastern and 5 p.m. Pacific. If you are new to the RideShare Guy, don't forget to subscribe to this channel and make sure that that bell is turned on so you know when the latest videos come out. If you're looking for the whole live, go check out this one right here. Bye, everyone.